Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. We've hit the jackpot here. We're in a nice heated yurt. Got some red painting, really beautiful colors everywhere, and strong member of the Youth Council, Eryn. And you've been here for quite a while. And one thing you said a couple weeks ago that stood out to me was at a press conference in response to them trying to move people to a free speech zone. You were like, I thought America was a free speech zone.
Yeah.
So I like that. But I just wanted to ask first, logistically, how long have you been in this yurt, and how long does it take to kind of put something like this up? Because it's quite a big structure.
Yeah, so I've been living in this yurt for about a month and a half, I believe, living in camp for about 3.5 months. And I believe it took us 3 days to put up this yurt. I want to say 3 days. It was a collective effort. We had a lot of help. The group with IP3, they were the ones that helped us set it up and donate it to the Youth Council.
What was your response, you Youth Council, to the permit being denied, as well as now the court battle seeming to be moved to February?
I think our kind of collective agreement as we found out about the easement was that we were really excited. We got this one small victory, right? We've been working and, getting beat up for the last almost 8 months. So, that one small victory felt really good, but all of us know that it's not over. We still have so much more work to do. We can hear them drilling at night from our yurt. We can hear the drones flying overhead. We can hear the construction trucks coming in. There's so many things that we have to do. And now because of the weather, it's not just a fight to get to the drill pad and shut that down. It's a fight in-house, a legal battle that we have to kind of educate ourselves on and become more aware of, and like what it is that we can do. So we know that with the Trump administration coming in, he has a bunch of investments in fossil fuel industry. Like, he is personally invested in this pipeline, and we know that it is likely that the judge will overturn the Army Corps ruling, or the ruling for ETP. We know that, but we are just trying to, figure out what it is that we can do in-house with our legal teams in order to fight any overturned rulings, figure out what it is that we need to do as a unit to survive the winter, and also to continue making our stand here, because I think that they thought once the big blizzard came and a lot of people left, that was the end of the camps here, and it's not. We're still here. Well, I think it should be clear that the President of the United States did not do anything. He had a team of people that made a decision, and we have repeatedly asked for his help, and he has not helped us. So I do not give any credit to Barack Obama whatsoever. That said, I have a lot of issues with him. But that said, we do know that they're going to continue drilling. We do believe that they are going to try and drill under the water. They've already said that in the event of the denial of the permit that they needed, the easement that they needed, that they would continue drilling, because they knew that all that they would receive in response would be a fine. And so they were willing to pay that fine. They had money prepared already. So we know that they're going to continue drilling, which is why we continue to make our stand here, because nobody can truly stop them unless they are physically here. And we have seen that the Army Corps of Engineers is not willing to physically stop them. We have seen that the Barack Obama's administration is not going to physically stop them. So we are going to be here to physically stop them. Whether that means loss of limb or loss of life, we've already had loss of limb. So, people are willing to lay down their lives for this water. And as far as the distrust, we've had almost 300 years of people telling us things that sound pretty and that look nice in a frame, but are lies. We're used to that. And so I think that, going forward, any decisions that are going to be made, especially in the next 4 years with the Trump administration coming in, we are fully prepared to just take everything with a grain of salt that is said and directed at Native Americans. And I think that this administration is going to be very detrimental to Indigenous communities, but it's our job to ensure the future of the next 7 generations. And so we'll fight through this next administration just as much as our ancestors did for us to be here. Our very existence is an act of resistance, and we'll continue to resist the United States government.
What's your message to fellow people that are young, even older people, young at heart, about the power of if you refuse to just take it on the chin from corporate America?
Well, I met Bernie Sanders a few weeks ago when I was in Washington, D.C. with LaDonna, and we were leading a rally against the Dakota Access Pipeline. And I had the chance to speak with him at length about what it is that we're doing, and I cried to him because I told him, we were so rooting for you. And he told me, I can do more in the Senate than I can as a president. And I respect that. I respect his honesty. And I also think that, as far as like the beast being awoken, we poked a sleeping bear when we took on the Dakota Access Pipeline and decided to, fight the fossil fuels industry. That was step one. But what they don't realize is that they have also awoken something in the youth of America right now, and that indigenous youth especially, and, communities of color, the youth that have been oppressed for so long, that we are here and we see everything that has been broken. We see exactly where the fault lines are in, communication, in community, in corporations. We know where the pressure points are, just as much as they like to, intimidate us with their guns and their jargon that they think we can't understand. A lot of them look at us and they say, oh, you're, from a poor community, you can't understand what I'm saying, so I'm going to throw these legal terms at you and then just hope you figure it out, and hopefully you don't, because that's better for me. But, we're educating ourselves. We're becoming more self-aware. We are realizing what our rights are. And I think that there's a reckoning coming for anybody in the future that wishes to stand against communities of color and indigenous youth, because a lot of us have spent so long being oppressed, and none of us want to go back to the lives that we were leading before. We don't want to have to live in fear like our parents have lived in fear. And we really are, I think, coming out of the shadows and saying, hey, we are the majority here. You are now the minority. And I think that is why people like Donald Trump become such bullies, is that they know that their power and that their time is coming to an end. And it may not be in his administration that we tackle all of this at once. It may not be in the next, 20 years. But the youth right now are awake, and they're willing to come for everyone that has hurt them before. And we are taking back everything that has been stolen from us. Andrew Jackson wrote the Indian Removal Act. Abraham Lincoln decided that 38 Dakota men were to be hanged and that 2 were to be killed thereafter. This is not the first time we've had a terrible president come in and say, hey, I'm going to completely decimate your cultures and destroy everything that you hold dear, and I'm not going to do it with a backward glance, and I'm going to do it with public opinion on my side. So I guess going forward, what I'd have to say is that, Donald Trump, like I said, he's a schoolyard bully. He has no experience. He knows that he has no experience. He has money. And while I think that money really is beneficial and it does help a lot of things, obviously, he bought his way into being president of the United States. Donald Trump stands specifically against communities that are unlike himself. And they are the majority right now. Black communities are the majority. Hispanic communities. Indigenous communities are less than 1%, but we have made a global stand that has reached everyone. We've had people from around the world come here. So indigenous voices are being heard, and we are going to continue to be heard. We're going to band together with all of the people, the Muslims, the LGBTQIA plus community, the Two-Spirit community, everyone, the differently abled communities. Everyone that Donald Trump looks his nose down upon are going to be the people that rise up and eventually overthrow him. And I think that, like I said, it may not be within this first year. It may not be within the second year, but people like Donald Trump cannot thrive. And I think that's why the people that are racist here in North and South Dakota feel so entitled to threaten us in the way that they do. They've never been questioned. And we are going to be the people that question and that stand against them. And I think that, again, like I said, there's a reckoning coming, and I think that going forward, it's just going to be a lot of how can we work together in order to ensure a future that is, solid and safe for our children. And I've said this before, President Barack Obama did not stand up for our communities. He did not stand up for our children, though he knew we were being hurt and shot at. And Sasha and Malia are Black children. President Trump will stand against those 2 children, and it will be Barack Obama's turn to learn what it's like when you cannot protect your children because powers that be are greater than your own. And I think that people need to be prepared. We have to stand together. This is not a time to be divided. This is not a time to be, separatist. We're going to have to learn how to work together in a way that is lucrative and ensures a future for the children, because ultimately that's what we're here for, is protecting future generations.